All right. So, yeah, the next thing was what I was going to like kind of rant about a little bit. So, okay. The thing that bothered a lot of people with Hex's statement was that they could feel that something was off, that something was gross. But I think chances are a lot of you might not have had, the same sort of articulation of the fact of the tokenization of victimhood, the use of it as a currency for authority, etc., etc. So a lot of people, when they were first reacting to Hex's statement, defaulted to like fixating on his hypocrisy, or talking about how he does consensual non-consent ASMR roleplay, even though he claims to be a victim of SA, or even claiming that he flat out lied about being a victim of SA. And again, I really don't think that any of those criticisms stand on their own. Because the fundamental problem was always the fact that his victimhood was being used in a fucked up way. And the takeaway from this whole interaction between audiences and Hex, Mr. I remain unaffected. Okay, I won't lie. Hex doesn't make it easy to defend him. But yeah, people, like I said earlier, people generally aren't stupid. They can intuit things. Like, people know that something's wrong, even if they don't have the words to describe it. And this is something that I want to really get across. The thing that makes it feel so wrong is not just the message that was being delivered, which is that Zion is a horrible person, etc., etc. It was also the way in which that message was being conveyed. And that brings me to the next thing. The medium is the message. If any of you guys have watched video essays on any form of media in the past, you've probably heard this phrase before. The medium is the message. Basically said by a guy called Marshall McLuhan, who was a Canadian philosopher and media academic. And essentially, what this phrase means is that the way you deliver a message to somebody is a message in and of itself. It changes the contents of the message. When we hear the word mediator, we associate it with a neutral third party who is trying to help two opposing parties communicate with one another. The thing is, what does it mean to be a mediator? To be a mediator, you essentially have to act as a filter. So what that means is you absorb a message, you process it, maybe change it slightly so that it won't be as hurtful to the other person, and then you pass it on. A medium is the same principle. It's a method of passing on a message that also ends up changing the message in some way, or at least adding something onto it that might not have been there initially. And to give you an example, because I find that the most extreme examples tend to work with the most amount of people the first time. Let's say that two people wanted to send you a death threat. Let's say that they wanted to send one to you so bad that they went to a Google Doc that they shared with one another and collaborated on writing it. Let's say that by the end of the day, the two of them have the same copy of the same death threat. Word for word, phrase for phrase, paragraph for paragraph, the exact same thing. One of them downloads it as a PDF, attaches it to an email, and emails it to your public email address. The other downloads it as a PDF, prints it out onto a piece of paper, tapes that paper onto a brick, and throws that brick through your window. The exact same message, but two very different acts of communication that have resulted in ultimately two very different messages being delivered, right? So again, this is... I'm only just seeing the reactions to the analogy in chat. Oh, you poor souls. Okay, so yeah, this is exactly what I mean, where the way you deliver a message, the medium you use to deliver a message, affects the meaning to the point where it becomes a message in and of itself. With the email, it's just, I don't like you. With the brick, it's, I don't like you and I can hurt you. So the whole point of all of this is getting across the idea that the medium you use to convey a message will end up shaping the message in some way. This is the most important thing that I want you to realize. If nothing else, I want you to understand this. The talents at Niji, they are not mediators. They are the medium. They are the thing that Niji is using, the tools that Niji are using to communicate with the public. And part of the reason for that is because they don't have a spokesperson from management. So this is the only kind of like public-facing, this is the only public-facing medium that Niji has access to right now. These guys, they are the medium through which Niji's management is able to communicate with the public. And something else is, like I said, every medium has its own different effect on the message that it's being used to convey. What happens when you use talents as a medium to convey professional disagreements with your staff? Those professional disagreements become personal ones. By using the talents as a medium for talking about their terminations, talking about the talents that they terminate, everything becomes a personal dispute. Everything becomes a matter of personal opinion, right? And again, no ethical corporation would ever pull this shit. But it is something that Niji has very much proven that they are both willing to do and will do in a heartbeat. So it's very important that when you look at these livers, you don't just look at them as people. You also acknowledge that, again, they are the medium through which management will try to speak to you. Oh, by the way, this is actual Niji promotional material. I didn't edit this. This is real, apparently. So yeah, that's kind of depressing, but it is what it is. And I think, yep, that is the end of the slideshow as well.